All right. Welcome, team. Thank you so much for jumping on tonight's call. That's Matias in the background. He's really excited, too, to have Micki on the call. So today is October 4th. I just wanted to first congratulate our new members that have joined the call. Jessica, Gladys, and Magdalena. Welcome to Team Advent. Also wanted to congratulate the Success Club earners for September. So Micki Morales with Success Club 12 and 4 in her husband's business center. So that's a total of 16, 8 lives changed. Wendy and Rudy, their first month as a coach, they ranked advanced to Emerald and they saved 5 lives. So amazing work, guys. Cindy Lopez, Success Club 8, 4 people, and ranked advanced to Emerald. Congratulations. Carolina, always. Success Club 8, with 4 people. Woohoo! Congratulations. Rosa, Success Club 8, 4 gente. Felicidades. Elena and Jorge, Success Club 6 with 3. And we also had another rank advancement in the month of September, and that was Kristen, and she ranked advanced to Emerald. So congratulations, everyone, for an amazing, amazing September. So housekeeping for Challenge Pack. I'm pretty sure you guys all saw it. I posted it on the team page. 21-Day Fix and 21-Day Fix Extreme, both $140. The 21-Day Fix, though, it comes with an insulated bag. So that's a little perk that Beachbody is throwing in there. The 21-Day Fix and the Kickstart, which is the 3-day refresh, $180. That also comes with an insulated bag. And then the 21-Day Fix Extreme and the Kickstart, that's $180 but doesn't come with the bag. And then also Body Beast with Shakeology. And they're throwing in the Performance Line Sampler, which is amazing, for $140. Also, if you haven't bought your Super Saturday tickets, I posted the link in our page. Make sure that you are attending. It's October 17th. For the out-of-state folks, I will put the link for you guys to search for your location, the nearest location near you. And then now, let's introduce our special guest, Micki Fernandez. We are super excited to have you on our call. She is the founder of Team Eagle. She's a 10-star diamond coach. She's a 2-time elite coach, Success Club 10 legend. But above all of this, Micki Fernandez is a God lover. So Micki tonight is going to talk to us about her aha moment with Beachbody and her blueprint to success, what has made her so successful with Beachbody. So the floor is yours. Tell us a little bit about, obviously how you became a coach, when you became a coach.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Gabby. And thank you guys for having me on your call tonight. It's an honor to be here today and share a little bit about who I am. And not sure if you know the humble beginnings of Team Eagle and how it all started, but I would love to take a couple of minutes and share that with you. So first of all, let me just tell you who Micki Fernandez is, because it's really important that you know who I am and a little bit about my background and why I'm so passionate about what I do in our Beachbody business. So first of all, I always say we have 2 stories. We have our the story, like the raw story that includes all the down and dirty stuff about you. It's the story where so many people are, unfortunately, some people are ashamed of their story, so they try to hide parts of their story. And I've learned through this journey with Beachbody to embrace who God created me to be, and that everything that I've went through in my life was to serve a higher purpose. So just a little bit about me. I was raised by a single mom. I'm the eldest of 3. And I was raised by, not just by my mom, but I was raised by my grandmother. So I was raised by 2 hustlers. and I just recently had this conversation with in my private chat with my team yesterday. And, I just had this really huge aha moment. I'm like, oh, so that's where I get, the badass part of me. It's from my mom and my grandmother, because they were hustlers, especially my grandmother. I know that she's proud of me, looking at me down from heaven, because I know that's where she is. And the reason why I say that is because this woman came to this country in 1963, not knowing the language, not knowing anyone. And that takes a lot of cojones to do that, seriously. And so now I truly appreciate who she was. I really do. And when I look at myself and everything I've gone through, I realize that I do have a great role model to follow. My dad was pretty much a deadbeat dad. He gambled his life away. He gambled our home away, to the point that we were pretty much left homeless. But God is so gracious and merciful that he saved us. I won't go into full details, but the bottom line is that we were able to stay in our home by the grace of God. So clearly, Dad was no longer living here, and at the age of 12, I started working in a factory in Long Island City with my mom. So I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go work with her during the summertime, while my friends were having fun at Astoria Pool, and I wanted to be there, but I had to help Mama Dukes. So I worked at the age of 12. I was also a very unforgiving person, clearly, with everything that I had gone through with my parents, with my dad, just abandoning us. I'm a college dropout. I used to be ashamed to say that, really ashamed to say that, because both my siblings graduated from college. So, but I embrace that now, because I realize that to living my purpose-filled life does not require a bachelor's degree. I'm not saying I'm not saying anything bad about going to college. I'm just saying that now I embrace the fact that I'm not ashamed to say that anymore. And I used to be. I've been divorced twice. I was married when I still didn't know how to wash my ass. I was only 19. I was only 19, but I wanted freedom. I wanted to get out. Mom and grandma were both very strict with me, because they both play the role of mom and dad. So I thought by, moving out, that I don't know what I thought. All I know is that didn't go so well. It didn't go so well. So I remarried again 5 years later, and I thought I was married to the love of my life. But, this man was living a double life, and God took me out of that. So, and I used to be ashamed of saying that I was married twice, because I felt like a failure. I really did. I wouldn't talk a lot about my first husband at all. But then when my second husband died from cancer, I knew that it was time for me to really share, because my first husband is a cancer survivor. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know, like the two of them, really. But in time, God will reveal to me there's a purpose behind everything. I was unable to conceive. I went through menopause at the age of 33. And that was very heartbreaking for me, because I wanted to have children. I love kids. Gabby knows that. I have this special connection with children. I don't know what it is. I've always wanted to carry my own, but I'm carrying 8,000 eagles right now. I was financially broke, poverty mentality, because I grew up living a poverty life. Dad was a deadbeat and mom working in a factory, and that's all I knew. Like, for me, it was okay to struggle. It was okay to struggle. So that's who I am. That's my story. But if you go to my Facebook page today, you will see that I'm proclaiming the third and last husband. He's a coming. I know he is. But
Lower East Side.
Oh, you saw it? You saw my video. I am so funny.
Start throwing things out the window.
Yeah, okay, somebody else saw it. I laugh at myself. I really do. You got to laugh. You
are so funny.
So that's who I am. And I had a choice. I had a choice to say, this is who I am. I'm just going to embrace this, and I'm never going to amount to anything. But God has bigger plans. He had bigger plans for me, just like he has bigger plans for each and every one of you that are on this call. And he used Beachbody to change me. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that, you know, your passion will bring you closer to your purpose. So my passion from the age of 18 has always been fitness, and I love fitness, and I've always been in a gym. I was always a gym rat. So in 2009, just fast forward to 2009, I joined, right? Because we have 2 dates in Beachbody. You have the join date, and then you have your start date. So the join date is when when you sign up. And so I signed up in 2009 because I was at a plateau with my fitness. So my brother had done P90X, and to see my brother transform in 3 months, not just his 60-pound weight loss, but it was more how he changed from the inside out. My brother, if anyone knows my brother, he's a very mellow kind of guy, total opposite from me. So I saw him really like talking, like laughing, like P90X did to this. Something must be right with this program. But anyhow, during that time, I was paying like $160 at, Equinox. And I'm like, all right, let me pay the, oh, first of all, I gotta keep it real. Like, I didn't want to pay the $120. I wanted a friend of mine, to give me, the illegal copy. Yep, I was one of those people. I'm like, I don't want to pay $120. What about if this stuff doesn't work? But I don't know, something convicted me. I'm like, no, if I'm going to do it, come on, I can afford $120, right? So I went ahead and I did the, P90X. I put my gym membership on hold because I was still not a true believer. Like, I didn't know about working out at home. And sure enough, I loved it. I loved Tony Horton, and I love the transformation that I had in 3 months, and I was just totally hooked. And so at that point, it was just Tony and I. There was no Team Eagle in 2009. A year later, I was always in the back office. Like, I really didn't know this whole business opportunity. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was a bunch of happy people who wanted to work out. Like, that's it. That's what I thought. During that time, I was working for Citibank, and I was in banking for 27 years. So that's all I knew. All my life was just banking. And I had a really, nice paying salary, 6-figure salary, all the benefits, you name it, bells and whistles, everything was there. So I had no reason to want to work this business. All I knew is that I was going to go to Summit, and I was going to take a picture with Tony Horton and Shaun T, and that's all I wanted. I didn't go to any of the trainings. Nope, I did not. Nope, I did not. In 2010, absolutely not. I didn't have time for that. I was tired of going to meetings at Citibank. Like, why was I going to do that with my hobby? I didn't have time for that. And real, true, funny story, the last day, it was a celebration. Now, that I was going to go to, because that was celebration. And all the trainers were going to be there, and I was going to go hang out, and I was going to take pictures. It was all about the pictures for me, seriously. Seriously, you guys have no idea how blessed you are walking into an established team. Like, I had no team. It was just me and Tony. That was it. 2010, our first summit. And at the celebration, I remember they were giving the belt to the top coach. I didn't know what that meant. I really didn't know. And I remember this young man was standing next to me, and he's telling me, Micki, next year we're going to be up on that stage. I'm like, yay. I'm like, yeah, right. I don't even know what they're talking about. Success Club. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. I didn't come here to work. It was just so funny. But I will tell you that, having a business mindset, I didn't know that, wait a minute, like, people are going on free trips. That I knew. I'm like, free trips. Like, how do I do that? So that's what caught my attention. And then I connected with Barbie Deck. Well, now she's not Barbie Decker anymore. Barbie Khalif. I have to get used to that. So her and I really connected, and she became my mentor. And the following year it was an Easter Sunday in Central Park, she gave me a little smackdown. And she says, I know you have a corporate background, and that's great. But if you want something more out of your life, you need to treat this as a business. Because if you continue at what you're doing, which is a hobby, you're never going to see a payout, because your pay is a direct correlation of how many lives you're changing, how many lives your team is changing. So that was another seed that was planted into me. And then I just came back and I just started doing my homework and just going to the back office and trying to figure things out. I still didn't do anything. I didn't. Again, I had my corporate job. I was a Citibank, vice president, branch manager, nice title. It was great. But then I became miserable at my job. Like, it just wasn't fun anymore. I don't know who's in corporate America in here. But if there's anybody in here that is, or somebody, they're not too happy, because corporate America is not a place where you fulfill, okay, I see a meeting, great, where you really make a difference, like the way we make a difference here in our business, it's a dog world. You're only as good as your last sale. So October 22nd, 2011. At that point, by the way, we already had Team Eagle established. And the reason it was established already is because we were just growing organically. Like, I was just sharing on social media at that point, just what I was doing. Like, nobody was telling me, Micki, you should do this, Micki, you should do that, to help work your business. I just did it because I love to help people. Like, it's in my DNA. I love serving. It's how God created me to be. So that's how then the team started growing. So it was just organically at first, my sister, sponsored her first coach, and then that first coach sponsored her husband, and her husband sponsored Saudi. And then Saudi came in. And I know a superstar when I see one. So I made sure to tell Saudi, do A, B, C, and D. And she was such a great student that she did A, B, C, D, and E. She took it a step further, and she did more than what I told her to do. And that's how she became my partner. It's been a blessing ever since then. And I was like, you know what? We've got a team. At that point, we have 50 people on Team Eagle during that time. And I'm like, okay, I think, we need to give it a name. Because I would see all the other teams in Beachbody with team names. But I knew that I always had a desire in my heart for many years that I wanted to marry my faith and fitness together. So I knew that this team was going to serve God. So I needed to give it a purpose. Like, the name had to have purpose. And I prayed on it a lot. I didn't want to slap any name to it, I'm sure Team Advent has a purpose. Advent has a powerful meaning. So it's sort of an extension of who we are. And so long story short, Isaiah 43, if anybody's familiar with that scripture, those who hope in the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not go faint. So God put that scripture in my heart, and that's how Team Eagle was born. And within a couple of months, we went from 50 to 200, and fast forward to today, we're close to 8,400. And there's still so much more work that we are called to do, because we are all called to be part of this team. So that's how Team Eagle was born. And so like I said, October 22nd, 2011, I went to a Super Saturday. It wasn't even Team Eagle Super Saturday, because I still didn't have, we didn't have our team events yet. And I remember listening, and I'm sure you can probably all relate. I'm sure everyone in here has been to a Super Saturday or a team event, right? And you hear coaches sharing their financial story. They share the transformation story. And so I was always going to these events. But then I would always come back to the next event, the same person. Like, nothing was changing until that day. Like, something just clicked. I don't know what it was. Something clicked that day. And I said, I'm tired. I'm tired of living in poverty mentality. I'm tired of working as a slave to Citibank. I want a life. I want to be in a place that I can truly, make a difference. And I know that I've been praying about wanting to get out of Citibank. And sometimes we pray and we ask to be taken out of where we are at the moment, looking for an answer. And sometimes that answer is under our nose. And we just, because we have blinders, we don't see that. And I see that a lot in our team. I see so many people that want so much more in their lives. But they don't use this blessing, because Beachbody is a blessing. It's a huge blessing. And, you know, we just take it for granted. But I will tell you that this business is what has saved me. And it's in this business, you know, that I found my purpose. I found my God-given purpose. So that day, October 22nd, I said, that's it, no mas. I'm done. I need to go back and treat this business like a business. And I remember what Barbie said to me. You treat it like a business, you're going to get paid like a business. You treat it as a hobby, you're going to get paid as a hobby. And hobbies don't pay you. As a matter of fact, hobbies cost you money. They cost you money, because I'm sure some of you have children who play sports as a hobby, and you're always ditching out money. You know, hopefully maybe one of our kids will be, you know, a famous baseball player. I don't know, but that, you know, it's, you know, it doesn't happen all the time. So I just came back, and I knew what I had to do. We didn't have the 3 vital behaviors back then. We had just started the 5-step invitation process back then. And I remember, like, I'm kind of like old school, and I need to write stuff down. And I took a binder, and I remember I labeled the binders from tab 1 through 5, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I just gave myself business hours, because I remember thinking to myself, wait a minute, bank, I have business hours at the bank. Except in the bank, I know what time I go in. I just don't know what time I come home, because I never knew. For the most part, I would come home probably earliest 9 o'clock at night. And I would leave my house at 7:15. I was done. But you find a driving force. And sometimes a driving force may not be something so positive. And for me back then, it was not a positive driving force. It was actually something negative, which was Citibank. I hated Citibank. And I don't say that word very lightly, because it's such an ugly word to say you hate something. It even bothers me just to even say it right now. But I did. I really disliked that job, and I wanted to get out, and I wanted more. And I said, but if I want more, I need to do more. No one else is going to do this for me. You know, I was seeing these top coaches. I'm like, well, what's the difference between me and them? Like, what's the difference? It's the mindset. That's the only difference. And so that's it. I gave myself business hours. And my business hours, you know, it was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because I worked full time. So in the mornings, that is when I would check into my challenge groups. I would do my morning post in my challenge groups. I would do my morning post on Facebook, because first thing you get up in the morning, you know, business hours, you show up on Facebook. It's like opening your front door. People are like, oh, she's alive. So that was the first thing, post on Facebook. And that's something that I remember Barbie Khalif. I got to get used to it. I got to get used to it. You know, that Barbie said to me, the first thing you do when you get up in the morning and you're ready to work your business hours, you show up on Facebook. Back then they didn't have Instagram, but you show up on Facebook so people know that you're alive, that, you know, you're ready for business. So that's the first thing I would do. Then I would check into my challenge groups. I would put in my morning post in my challenge group. I would go look at my emails to see how, you know, so I would give myself an hour in the morning. You know, that was my power hour. And so I was focused, because I knew that I had to get out, I had to be out by a certain time. And then during the day, I knew I couldn't work it. That's why, you know, if you're working full time, don't get frustrated that you can't work your business while you're at work, because you have to prosper where you're planted. And if God has you at that job, you have to honor him where you're at, even if you don't like it. I see some people posting that they hate it. No, you're there for a reason. And I'm telling you from experience, okay? I was not happy there, but I don't work for man. I work for God. So that's who I had to honor. So that's when I had to flip, you know, I had to flip the switch on that. I was like, you know, if I want God to bless me with more, then I have to honor him with what he's giving me, with the little he's given me. Because sometimes we want more, but we're not even honoring him with what we have now. And so that's why I knew that I had to do that. And so that's what I did. And then when I would come home, guys, whether it was 8 o'clock at night, 9, whatever time I came home, it was a non-negotiable for me. I had to work my business because that was the only time that I can send out my invites, because I couldn't do it at work. I was on the banking floor because I managed one of the largest branches in Citibank in the Upper East Side. And, you want to talk about the most demanding people that God ever created? That's where they live. Zip code 10021. I swear. Oh my goodness. But anyway, so I knew that during banking hours, I couldn't have my phone out. And, that's why I knew that, God truly blessed this team with Saudi, because Saudi took over when I couldn't show up. She saved me. So I would come home at night and sit on this kitchen table, and I wouldn't go to sleep until I sent out my 20 invites. That's the number I gave myself. And the reason I gave myself that number is because my goal was to replace that 6-figure salary. So I had to match my activity with my goal. You have to match your activity with your goal. So if my goal was to replace a 6-figure salary, sending out 3 invites a day or 2 was not going to cut it. I was friending so many people, asking for referrals. People were giving, and it was just crazy. It just happened. Like every day it was 20 invites. Like I did it. It was a non-negotiable for me. At my job, I couldn't talk about Beachbody because I was a licensed employee, and I had to get permission from them to become a Beachbody coach, because they had to make sure there was not a conflict of interest. So I could not. So like at work, I could not talk about at all. It was, but I made it, you have to figure it out. So if you guys want this business to work for you, and you're only looking at how big your mountain is, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to make it. What you have to do is you got to take a look at how big your God is, because he's bigger than that mountain. And then you have to, put an action plan in place. It's not going to be given to you at all. Like, we need to show up every single day to our business. And I realize, now I've been in this business now for 6 years. Yeah, 6 years. But 4 years really working it. No, 3 years really working it. And for the most part, people just negotiate the non-negotiable. Like, that's right. Like, let's keep it real. We negotiate the non-negotiable. And the non-negotiable are those 3 vital behaviors. We take it so lightly sometimes. Hey, listen, I'm so far from perfect. I'm always screwing up. But that's how we learn. That's how we really learn how to just get back up. I'm like, oh, that's how you learn now. That's how you're able to help other people, when you overcome failures. Like, embrace failures. They're part of it. Right now, I'm fighting for my goal this year. I'm fighting so much for it that I don't know whether I'm going to take a vacation to Thailand. Like, I think I'm going to pull out of that vacation. I haven't told my girlfriend yet. She's going to have a heart attack. But, like, I have to take a look at, my priorities. I can't right now at this point in my life afford to be, and Thailand is a dream vacation. But I can't afford right now to be away from my team, from my goals for 10 days. And it's not like I'm in Florida. I'm in the other side of the world. So, and that's what business owners do. I know so many people that would say, oh no, go on vacation, girls, one in a lifetime, go. I have a responsibility. And like, I really take that to heart. So, Gabby had asked, the blueprint for my success, right? So if you haven't figured it out now, God is my blueprint. Seriously. Like, I want to honor him in everything that I do. Everything that I do it for him. Like, everybody has a different, driving force. And I want to share with you, like, when I had that aha moment, right? Because Gabby asked me, what was your aha moment, Micki, for you? So I'm going to share that with you. And it was, I had to write out my story and share with Beachbody. This was back in 2012. Yeah, 2012. And that's when I started working with corporate, because corporate, noticed that this little team in New York City area, it was growing. Like, you may or may not know this, but Team Eagle, because we're all part of Team Eagle, we're the ones that are making noise in New York. It's this team that got on the map with corporate. No other team has made it in New York except us. Like, we need to be proud of that. Like, and I'm just so honored. Like, when I see some faces that I've never seen before, and like my heart is, beating like really hard. Like, I'm just so thankful and so joyful. Like, oh my goodness, it takes one person to make a decision, and look what's happened. So I had to share my story with Nathan at that time. And I already had written out my story because I had, like I shared with you before, I've been married twice. So right before I got married the second time, I wanted to get married by church again. And I needed to fill out the annulment process. So, like, I even look back, I'm like, wow, even my annulment process had a purpose, and I share that with the team. Because I share how I had to write out my story. Like, a lot of people are like, well, how do I start writing out my story? Like, where do I start? So for me, I already had it because I already had to submit it to the church. So I already had the format to do it. So I submitted that story. I had to add on, extra stuff in there because we all have different chapters to our lives. That's when people ask me about my story. I'm like, well, which chapter do you want? Because I have different chapters. I'm on chapter 49 right now. So I submitted the story to him, and then so he says to me, he says, wow, Micki, you've got a real powerful story. So now can you share with me what's, in a sentence, can you share with me what your why is based on your story? Because it's our story that gets us to where we are today, right? All of us in the Zoom call, we made it to the Zoom call because of our choices, whether good or bad. That's why you're here today. That's why we're all here today, because of our choices. And it's all part of our story, our journey. And so I said to him, oh, well, I want financial freedom. He's like, great. That's not a why. That's a goal. Financial freedom is a goal, but that's not your why. So tell me, why do you want financial freedom? And I remember, thinking to myself, I'm like, dude, like, who doesn't want financial freedom? Like, why are you asking me a stupid question? I did in here. I didn't say that to him. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be held bondage. I don't want to be held bondage to debt. Nobody does. Like, who wants to be held bondage to debt? I mean, how many of you want to buy something for yourself or for your family? You want to go on vacation, but you can't do it because you're held to bondage because of debt. You can't do it. So that's how I felt. I'm like, I don't want to feel trapped. I feel trapped. He goes, okay. He goes, well, tell me, why do you want that? Like, why don't you want to feel like that? And I'm like, is this a trick question? Like, why is he asking this dude this? And I'm like, well, I want to be able to spoil my mom. Like, I want to do everything for her. He goes, great. Why do you want to do that for your mom? I'm like, well, because, mom, she was a single parent. She did so much for us. Like, she sacrificed her life. Like, she stopped herself from doing things because she had 3 kids. So now I just feels my responsibility. He goes, well, why do you think it's your responsibility? And then I broke down crying because I didn't know what he was trying to get at. Like, and I was feeling frustrated. I was pissed. I wanted to punch him in the face. He was pissing me off, because he was just asking me questions that I didn't know. Like, but I felt frustrated. There was something inside of me and I didn't know what it was. And then he's like, great. He goes, that is your why trying to come out. But it's so buried inside of you that you just don't know how to. He goes, so I want you now to write down 5 words that describe who you are. And look at those 5 questions. Look at those 5 words and then look at your story and then come up with, that power statement, that why statement. I'm like, okay. He goes, okay. So I used to have calls with him on a Monday. He goes, okay, so next Monday, come with your power statement. Gabby, that's because you invited me. I'm sorry. Come next week, right? So all week, guys, it was really funny because, I'm a little comical. And I'm like, yo, dude, like, I got this homework assignment that's due on Monday and I have no idea what's my why. Like, can you tell me why you created me for? Because I think that's what it is. I think that this why thing has to do with my purpose. And I have no idea why you created me. Is it the wings, the eagles? Like, what is it? Like, I don't know. So I was calling my sister. I was calling, like other team members. Like, why do you think God created me? Like, I have no idea. And so that Sunday, now here comes Sunday. I'm at church. I was serving at church. And Christine is sharing her screen. Okay. So that's okay, sweetheart. It happens. I've done it too. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. At least nobody here is naked, because I was a guest speaker. Seriously, I was a guest speaker on a call a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like this, looking at the whole screen. And then the girl on my bottom left, I don't know what she thought, but she was butt naked. And I'm trying to keep a straight face and having this like really, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but her nipples are distracting me. I was like, can somebody tell this chick that she's naked? That was so funny. Anyway, yeah, that happened to me. That would only happen to me, of course. Like, that wouldn't happen to anybody else. It would happen to Micki. So anyhow, so I go to church that Sunday and I'm at church and I'm praying. I'm like, yo, JC, like, this is due tomorrow, man. Like, you got to help me out. That's how I talk to him. We're like this. You got to help me out, man. Like, this is due tomorrow. And I have no idea what I'm going to tell Nathan tomorrow. And then, it's so true that they say that, God speaks through your heart. He really does. I used to teach children at my church, preparing them for their first Holy Communion. I was, I forget what they called it. I don't know, but I was a teacher. They used to call me Miss Micki. Anyhow, and I remember I used to tell the kids, I said, children, you have to know, and children, I'm talking to you guys too, because you're all children of God. So I said, listen, when God speaks to you, he speaks through your heart. You want to know why? Because if you spell heart, there's an ear in it. So you have to listen closely. Heart, ear. There's an ear in your heart. That's where he talks to you. So, so when you guys go home and you tell your mommy and your daddy that you have an ear in your heart, and they're going to look like you're crazy, but you do. So that's when he talks to you. So it was like this voice that I heard in my heart. Like, I don't know. And all I heard was messenger of hope. Like, that's what I heard. And when I tell you, ladies and gents, because I think there's a gentleman in here, I wanted to jump. There you go. I wanted to jump out of my skin because I was just so excited. Like, that's it. I am a messenger of hope. Like, I got it. That's what I was called to do. Why? Because that's you. That's who you are, and you live inside of me. And I'm here in a mission. And I'm a messenger. I'm here to give a message to people, and I give them hope, and I give people hope through my story. That's how where's the picture? I give hope to people who were raised by single parents. I give hope to people that were, that their deadbeat dads left them. I give hope to people who don't know how to forgive, because I have a very powerful forgiving story, which I haven't shared. I need to write a book on it. I give hope to people that think that because they didn't go to college, they can't make anything out of themselves. Yes, you can. Look at me. I give hope to, women who have been divorced, thinking like they feel like failures. No, you're not a failure. That's all part of your growing pains. Okay. I give hope to women who have not been able to conceive. Just because you're not able to conceive, that doesn't make you any less than any other woman. I am a spiritual mom to many. I didn't have to carry a child to love like a mom. I give hope to people that, have been financially broke. So was I. I'm close to being debt free because Beachbody, because this business, God has blessed me with this business. And the more people that I help, the more he helps me financially. And he knows that the more financially he helps me, then that vision that he put in my heart about building a transformation center, because that is my big dream, to build a transformation center where the first floor is going to be Team Eagle headquarters, and we're going to have training in there. So Gabby will call me and say, hey, Micki, is conference room C available on Thursday from 2 to 4? Yeah, Gabby, no problem, come. You know, like, that's what I want. That's what I'm envisioning. The second floor is going to be a retreat house. And I'm combining that, you know, with the ministry that I'm part of. I'm part of a ministry called Organic, and calling transformation centers because it's more than a physical transformation. It's going to be not just a physical, but it's going to be spiritual, mentally, financially. That's why it's called a transformation center. And, you know, I'm just, you know, this kid from the freaking hood who was financially broke. Although I did get a bill just recently that I owe $10,000 to the hospital because of my broken wrist, but that's all right. God got me. I'll figure that one out. You know, like, it is what it is. I'm not stressing. He's always taking care of me, and he always will. So that's my power statement. I am a messenger of hope. Like, that's what it is. So that's why you'll always see me. I love anchors because anchor stands for hope. So you'll always see me with anchors. I love anchors. In my room, I have, you know, over my bed, it says hope. And then if you take a look at the scripture that gave birth to Team Eagle, those that hope in the Lord shall renew their strength. So that's why anchors are so meaningful to me, and it's meaningful to this team. And that's how, you know, if it wasn't because, because of Beachbody, like, that's what did it. There you go. Team Advent Transformation. And, you know, Advent also means the coming of something much bigger. And that's what's happening to this team. You know, I connected with Gabby and Elena from day one. And I'm like, these girls were brought to this team for a higher purpose. So just know that each and every one of you were called to be part of this big mission. It's part of this big vision. But it's going to take work, because just because you're called doesn't mean that you're going to be chosen, because it's through our actions that we will be chosen to do this higher work. Like, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. And this business, like, you know how Team Beachbody says, what is it again? Fitness plus nutrition plus support equals success. And I'm a firm believer that, you know, I take all those three, and, you know, that's a Beachbody tool, but it's the Beachbody tools plus our God-given gifts, because we all have our own God-given gifts. So you take those two, you add those two, and what happens? We impact lives. That's what we do. That's what we're all called to do. And I don't care what your gift is. It doesn't matter what gift it is, but you use it to impact lives. And at the end of the day, you know, fitness and faith, it's intertwined. Like, we are exactly where we need to be, but we need to show up. We need to show up every day. So, and you show up by, you know, really taking those 3 vital behaviors and doing them every single day. Like, when you think about inviting, don't think of inviting like, oh, what about if they say no? Like, don't fear inviting, because I want you to take a look at that. When you're inviting somebody, you're inviting someone to change their lives. Like, I'm sure none of you regret that you were invited to do this. Yes, you know, I had this conversation today. I had some relatives of mine that were here visiting, and and they asked me, oh, is this a multi-level marketing company? And I said, yeah, the compensation plan is set up that way. That's how I say it. The compensation is set up on a multi-level marketing setting, but we're in the business of transforming lives. So the next time you invite someone, think about the impact you're going to make on these people. Not just physically, like the physical part, that's just superficial, quite honestly, but it's a transformation that comes from within, you know? So my aha moment, it was when I found my why, like my real why, my purpose. And that's always been my driving force. Like, when I think of how I'm going to serve him, like, that just excites me. When Gabby invited me to be in the call, like, you know, I didn't hesitate to say yes to her. it's part of my calling. You know, my calling goes much deeper than Team Eagle. There's more that he wants me to do. So I have to start doing more. I have a lot of work ahead of me. So that was my big aha moment, was finding that my power statement. When you find your power statement, that does it. Because that overcomes fear, doubt. You know, there are days maybe that you don't want to get out of bed. Listen, I've been there, you know, but my alarm, it's funny because when my alarm goes off, it says, get up. You have a purpose to fulfill. Literally, that's what it says. I'm like, okay, fine. I won't snooze it again. I got to get up, you know? So that's what drives me, you know, the blueprint, you know, like I said, yeah, God is my blueprint. He really is. But at the end of the day, you know, this is a business, right? And we're in the business of helping people. And, you know, we are so blessed because we're doing things that we all enjoy, right? Because I think everybody here enjoys what they're doing. You know, you enjoy being part of the team, and we've become family. And to think that we're able to fulfill our purpose through this, and on top of that, we get paid, like, that's crazy. Because in our full-time jobs, those that have it, like, you go to your job? You go to your job, you may, some of you already told me that you don't like your jobs, but you show up every day. You show up every day because you got to get paid. You got to pay the bills. We all have to pay the bills. So how awesome is it that while you're in your full-time job, you're building your part-time, you're building your dream job in a part-time basis? Because that's what I did. While I was still working full-time, I built my dream job part-time. And then when the right time came, I was able to transition over. Now, some people, you know, love their full-time jobs. You know, that's wonderful. I mean, that's great. But how awesome is it that you can still have your side business where you can fulfill, you know, so many of your dreams. So, you know, really, you know, show up to your business. Those 3 vital behaviors are huge. That's why they're called vital. Because when you go to a hospital, you know, they take your vitals, right? Like, if your vitals aren't working, then, right? So it's the same thing here. That's why you have to do all 3. So think about a stool, right? A stool has 3 legs. A stool can't stand on 1 or 2 legs. It needs all 3. You got to do all 3. So what's, you know, really, you know, worked for me is like, it's how you start your day. You know, so a lot of people start the day by, you know, reading their personal development, watching a motivational video or whatever. You know, I start my day first in prayer. Like, I start prayer, then goes personal development. But that's how I like to start my day. So I like to fill my cup. I fill my cup with the word. I fill my cup, you know, with a personal development. And then I am better equipped to attack my day. But when you start your day empty and then life throws you a curveball, because it always does, then you don't have your full armor on. Like, how can you fight back if you're empty? So although, you know, personal development is the 3rd vital behavior, you know, the way it's written down, I like to put that to the top and start my day like that. Except I start with prayer first, and then I do personal development, so that, you know, it fills me up to get going. Product of the product, guys, you know, if you have a transformation, great. If you don't have one, you got to get it. You have to get a transformation, because our business is a fitness business. Okay. If you're not where you need to be, that's fine. But I urge you to start sharing every 30 days, share a progress picture, so people can see that you're progressing, that you're moving forward. Because if we're only talking and we're inviting, you know, we're doing the inviting part, but then we're not transforming ourselves, then we may be coming across as somebody who wants to sell something. So you want to make sure that you walk the talk. We have to walk the talk. You know, that's why, you know, lately I've been sharing on social media how, you know, I'm overcoming, you know, my fitness had to take a step back when I broke my wrist. I mean, I didn't have a choice. I broke my wrist. I'm starting to feel now, and I'm feeling, a bit better. It's taken some time. I'm still not 100%. I'm still not there yet where I would want to be, but I have to remember that it's only been 4 months since I shattered my wrist. You know what I mean? Like, I got to take it easy and take one step at a time. But I'm still sharing that. Why? Because then people can relate to that. I'm showing other people that you can still do it regardless of whatever life throws at you. Right after that, my mom suffered a stroke. I was still showing up. I have to. It's my business. Same thing as, if you have a full-time job. Life throws curves at you, but you still show up because you got to pay the bills. So we have to do the same thing here. And just know that here, you're going to gain your freedom. If that's what you want, like if you have children, you want to stay at home. I don't have any kids, obviously, but I'm taking care of Mama Do. She's the biggest kid. It's like I really can understand you guys with children now, because I really have an 82-year-old child. My hands are full with her. Seriously. But it's been a blessing. This business has allowed me to take care of her. If I had not been working from home, I would have not caught her having that stroke at 10:30 in the morning on a Tuesday. Wednesday. No, Tuesday. Right when we got back from Summit. And then I said, my goodness, if I would have been at Citibank, she wouldn't have been here. And this business has given me the opportunity to take care of her, to take her, to her doctor's appointments. It's just, that's what I'm here for. So that's my biggest blessing right now that this business has given me, is it's the freedom to take care of her and be there for her. So that's my story, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer anything.
Wow, Micki, that was powerful. Every time I hear you speak, I learn something else about you. That was amazing. Just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for spending Sundays. You don't do calls on Sundays, and I know that you did it for us. So we truly, truly appreciate it that you spent Sunday night with us.
Well, you mean the world to me, Gabby. Seriously, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone has questions for Micki? Guys, we might not have her again.
And and by the way, guys, if you're embarrassed to say anything or whatever, you can inbox me. It's okay.
I have a question, Micki.
Yes.
So I'm in corporate America, and I used to love, and I was always passionate about going in. It wasn't a job for me, and I enjoyed it. I'm getting to the point where I've had it because you know how corporate America is. It burns you out.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that you did enjoy in life, you don't enjoy because you don't see them past the grind. Mm-hmm. So at what point do you feel, or at what point were you able to say, okay, I've had enough, I'm not going back?
Okay. Oh, that happened in February of 2012. I remember like it was yesterday. My boss came into my office to give me my annual review. And I remember that I was one of the top branch managers, and I had earned a trip to, they used to call it City Stars, I remember. And we were going to go to Arizona, to this beautiful, spa resort in Arizona and whatnot. So clearly, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, right? I won this trip. He comes in, he gives me my review. It went very well. We spoke about my areas of opportunities that we needed to hone in on, because I led the largest branch. So I was falling short in one of the categories, which meant that if I did not meet those goals, not only was it going to affect me, but it was going to affect his entire area. So I played a major role in the entire area. But we worked, we had an action plan in place to make that happen. 2 hours later, he calls me up because we had to report numbers at 10 o'clock in the morning, at noon, at 3 o'clock, and then before we went home. Like, it was always checking in. It was crazy. So he called, I remember it was out to lunch, and he called wanting to know my numbers. First he says, what's going on over there? And so he, I was taken aback a little bit because he was pretty much barking at me. And I told him I would have to call him back because I was so angry. I have never in my life have disrespected anyone the way I did that day. I actually disliked myself very much because I was raised by, two women who always told me that I had to respect my elders. I had to respect people in authority, regardless of their age. So I grew up respecting utmost. And that day I lost it. I can't even repeat what I said to him. It was that nasty. I thought I was going to get fired that day. That's how bad it was. And I came home that day. Like, what happened? Like, who are you? Like, I just did not like myself. And I think I lost. Oh, no, there she is. Okay. And I knew that was the day that I had to make a decision because I just didn't like myself anymore. I would have to go into my office and take my mom's, it was one of her prescriptions to calm her nerves because that's how it was. Like I would get up in the morning and I was already shaking because I had to go to work. It was time to leave, and I had to, it was a very emotional decision that I had to make, Cindy, because I was making good money, but my health was at risk. So I took a piece of paper and I wrote down pros and cons for staying at City. I wrote down my pros and cons for leaving City. And it was clear that I had to leave. I had to. But I also had to write down my needs and my wants. Like what were my needs and what were my wants? And when I took a look at that list, Cindy, I had more wants than I had needs. Because clearly the more money that I was making at Citibank, the more money I was spending. I did share with you that I was financially broke, right? So I had taken a 401k plan to pay out some bills. Like I'm sharing, like this is my dirty shit. Seriously.
Appreciate it though.
Yeah, and I have to share that stuff. I can't be a holder back on that.
We don't have them.
Yeah. I remember on that 401k, I think it was like $16,000. And it was from credit card debts that I had. And I took money out of my 401k, which anybody who tells you says, don't ever do that. But I did. And that was one of the reasons why I was holding on to Citi, because I knew that then I was going to have to pay Uncle Sam back. You know what I mean? But I was willing to take that risk. I'm like, I'll deal with Uncle Sam. And I had to stop paying my life insurance because I couldn't afford it. Because when I left Citi, I was only making, that year, I only made $35,000 at Beachbody. So I left a 6-figure job of $120,000. In my first year as a full-time Beachbody coach, I made $35,000. And, but at the end of the year, I had enough to pay back Uncle Sam, and I was able to keep $15,000 in my bank account out of $30,000 that I made, because I learned how to be smart about my money. I had to hit rock bottom to understand what it was to be, be smart spending money. But yet I was a banker for 27 years and I didn't have a pot to piss on. And this business taught me to be smart with my money. I never stopped tying my money. I always gave my 10% to God, because at the end of the day, none of it belongs to me anyway.
Amen.
None of it belongs to me anyway. And that was the biggest thing that hurt me, was the fact that I had to give less to the underprivileged. That hurt me. But, because I kept showing up every day, I've already doubled my income from Citibank with this business.
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate it, because I can relate and I share all those emotions that you went through, because I'm going through them now. So.
Yeah. So that needs to become your driving force to show up every damn day to your Beachbody business, sweetheart.
I will.
Just like I did. Because if I did it, you're going to do it too, mama. And if you need me, you reach out to me. Okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. God bless you, sweetheart.
You too.
Micki?
Yes, sweetheart. Who's talking to me?
Iran?
Where are you? There you are.
So you said that to show up to your Beachbody business as if you're showing up to your job. And how were you able to have a full-time job first, you know, and then you started with with the Beachbody business, and you know, like, because I work full-time and I consider this as my business, but sometimes it's really hard to like show up every day.
Yeah.
So how do you accomplish that? I know that you said that you figure out your why and that you wanted it to be a hope for people for different reasons.
Yeah. And let me tell you, sweetie, before that, like I found that drive, I found my power statement. I already had left Citibank, but prior to that, when I was still working full time, my driving force was just that I needed to get the hell out of Citibank, like, because I was so damn miserable. Like, seriously, I'm keeping it real. Like, that's what drove me. What drove me was that I disliked Citibank so much, but the fact that I didn't share this part. I had gone to an event. Cindy, God loves you, sweetheart. He's in a movie at the right time, sweetie. The fact that somebody has said to me, you need to prosper where you are planted. Okay? And you honor him in everything you do, even if you don't like it. And I'm going to share something else. And this has nothing to do with business, guys. It was a Saturday at my job. I'm full of stories. But it was a Saturday at my job, and the mailman, who was a really quiet guy, he would never really say much. He happened to work that Saturday. He comes into my office, and I said to him, "Oh, you know, what are you doing here today?" You know, and he just looked at me and he smiled, and he walked out. That was that. 2 seconds later, he comes back in. He comes in with his head down, and I'm like, "Did you forget something?" And then he's like, he hesitated, and I was like, "Uh-oh, it's coming. God is sending this man to talk to me." I just knew it. And he just looked up at me. He says, "You know, you have a beautiful heart. You really do. And just know that everything that's going on here has nothing to do with you, and he will move you at the right time." So Cindy, that's why I'm saying that to you, sweetheart. The same message that was given to me. And it was that man, he breathed hope into me, and I held on to it. I held on to that. And that's what drove me. God drove me. I know this is a business, but like, seriously, that's who drives me. He drives me. You know, he drove me to this call today. As you know, as Gabby said, I usually don't do calls on Sundays because it's usually, you know, my family time and whatnot. But it was like, you're gonna get on that call, and you know, I do my best to be obedient. That's what drove me, and I just made it a non-negotiable, Mama, because I just didn't want to go back to that place. And I knew that the only one that was going to do it was me. I knew God wasn't going to come down from the heavens and start sending out invites for me. Nope. I had to do it myself. It takes action. We got to take action, because faith without action is absolutely dead. And that's, you know, that's what drove me. Everybody has a different driving force. Everybody does. As long as it drives you to move forward into what it is that brings you peace and harmony and much love and spend time with your family, like, that's what life is all about, you know. And then just, you know, hearing my team members just saying, you know, "Micki, thank you, you know, for inviting me to this, you know, thank you for, you know, supporting," like, it's that kind of stuff that drives me. Like, this call is the kind of stuff that drives me, because I know that I am exactly where he wants me to be.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome, sweetheart.
Micki, just a follow-up to Iran's question. You know, I know that a lot of the ladies and gents on our team, you know, they have full-time jobs, and you know, I know from working how crazy the hours that you mentioned are. You know, leaving your house at 7:30 and coming home at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at times. And, you know, at what point, you know, you have to make that decision that you made to say, this is a non-negotiable for me. And I have to wake up an hour earlier or go to sleep an hour later because, you know, my goal is X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I know that I have to do X, Y, and Z in order to reach those goals, right? You got to make them. So I, if you can just share with the team, you know, the amount, because I know there's sacrifices that you made in order to leave city. So if you can just share, how long were you, you know, sacrificing sleep, and how many hours a day were you sleeping, you know, for that time frame, just so that they can understand there is sacrifice in everything that has to be done.
Yeah, I was only sleeping about 5 hours a day. That was it. That was it. Because I also, you know, remember, I had to also get up and do my workout. Like, that was a non-negotiable too. So 5 hours was all I slept. Sometimes it was 4.5. But it was that driving force, that just the adrenaline, like it just kept me going. And seeing other people in this business, having, you know, like I said, Barbie is a huge inspiration to me. And when you see someone who believes in you, that just kept me going. It just kept me going. Like it's worth me losing the sleep, because this is temporary. This is not going to be forever. This is just temporary. You know, going to these Super Saturdays, going to Summit and listening. One of the things that always stood out to me was Christine Dwyer. And I'm sure you've probably heard of Christine Dwyer. And I remember Christine at the 2011 Summit. You know, she said that in the beginning, and mind you, she's a wife, she has children, that she shared with her family why she was sacrificing. And that's what we also need to do. We need to share with our family why we're sacrificing, how, you know, their lives are going to change, so they can give you support. Because unfortunately, you know, not always you're going to get your family and even some of your friends to support what you're doing, because it's not that they don't want to, it's that they don't want us to fail. You know, so don't get upset at them. It's just that they don't understand. But you need to share what your goals are with them. And we're in a good position in this team that you have stories to share. You know, your upline, you know, Audrey also has an amazing story. I mean, that woman inspires me. She really does. You know, so you have stories to share that are, you know, so close to home. Like, if they did it, why can't you? So that also is one of the things that I did was, you know, I shared why I was doing this. My family knew why. They also saw how miserable I was at Citibank. They knew that I had to get out. So they supported every step of the way. I never got anyone that gave me well, that's not true. But there were some people that didn't support. They still don't believe. They still think that I'm playing on Facebook. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. But yeah, sacrificing not just sleep, but also time with family and friends. I sacrificed a lot of that too. I sacrificed that too. I wasn't spending enough time with my family, even with my mom. I remember her telling someone, she lives here, but I don't really see her. Like, I don't really spend time with her. So I remember when she said that, I had to have a heart-to-heart with her, you know, letting her know. But I also had to know that on the weekend, that's why then Sundays became a non-negotiable. Like, you know, I need to hey, listen, God rested on the seventh day. So if he rested on the seventh day, What makes me bigger than him? I'm not bigger than him, so why not? So I know it sounds simple, but that's what I did. But you need to identify what your driving force is. Like the one that's going to make you, cry and look ugly, like that kind of ugly, cry, because that's what's going to drive you every single day to say, no, let me send out 5 more invites. I mean, ladies, there were times that I would hit my forehead on the kitchen table because I was falling asleep. Many a times that happened. I was just naughty. But I knew I had to get out. I just had to get out. I just knew I had to. Does anybody here have like a desire in your heart that you've had it for such a long time and it doesn't go away? Like it doesn't go away. It just keeps coming back. It could be 10 years you've had this in your heart. Anybody? Am I talking like Greek? I don't know. Yeah? Okay. So that's part of your purpose. That's something that higher power wants you to go after. If it doesn't go away, that's part of your DNA. Like I knew from an early age that I was created to do something big. I can't explain it to you. I just knew. I knew. And when I share people how big our team is, I'm like, you have no idea where we're headed. We have much more work to do. But it also means that I have to start doing more than what I did before. And also the fact that when you become successful, guys, never forget what made you successful. Because sometimes we fall, like once we get to a certain success level, we become a little comfortable. And then we may stop doing some of the things that we did to get us there. Never do that. We got to keep going. We got to do more. We got to do a lot more. We have a lot of work ahead of us.
Thank you, Micki. I don't want to keep you since it's already 10:15 and we are taking advantage of your time at this point.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I said this time, I knew that we were, and listen, because I know myself, especially because I knew what I was going to share tonight, and I'm very passionate about what I do and, where we're headed. And I just love to share. So that's fine.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We're going to let you go. If the team has any other questions, I will have them put them up in the event page that I created for this call. And then I'll pass them on to you. If you, whenever you have a moment, you can answer them. But we truly appreciate your time. You are super inspirational. We all look up to you.
Oh, thank you.
It was such a pleasure to have you on our call tonight.
The pleasure was all mine.
And you just gave us more hope.
Amen.
Thank you for that.
Amen, guys. So I'll see you all Super Saturday, all of you that are local.
Yes.
Amen. And when I do see you over there, make sure I love to hug.
Yes, she does.
I do. I love hugs.
That's right. Papi, you got Micki?
Hi, baby. Hi.
He's sick. Sick yesterday. He has a fever and a cough. So, okay, Papi. But anyway, thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for jumping on. Micki, again, such a pleasure to have you on.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. So inspirational.
Thank you so much. I just saw really quickly, I saw something about a cupcake. Make it an Oreo cookie cupcake, please.
That's Anna.
Okay, I don't see her face, but I see her name. Anna, Oreo cookie cupcake.
Oreo cookie. You don't want to see my face. Yo parezco una loca. I'm a mess.
You're too cute.
Listen. Look at me. No, you don't want to see that. Thank you.
Listen, Ana, cuando le haga el de Micki, me hace uno.
I'll bring cupcakes.
Ladies, God bless you all.
All right.
Thank you, Micki.
You too,
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Good night.